Armstrong Whitworth here. On your call to Mr. Wynnum, plant manager. We have him on the line.
Hello, Mr. Dreier. This is Jack Wynnum. Everyone here is excited to know that we'll be part of the Thor story you're recording in the States. What we have to contribute to such a story could probably fill the entire recording. We joined the Thor family in 1951, and had to find a bigger factory in 1953 to keep up with sales. Everything is going nicely. We are doing our best to keep up with all the new tools coming out of Aurora and Los Angeles. I say, here's Mr. Faverty, our managing director. He can certainly add more.
At this point, Robert G. Faverty, managing director of Thor's British subsidiary, talked with us. Now, before you hear him, I'd like to tell you about him. His story is so typical again of Thor progress. Bob Faverty was a Thor salesman in Chicago in the 1930s and later became the Chicago district sales manager. He then was transferred to the Detroit branch as district manager. When Thor acquired Armstrong Whitworth, the company chose him to manage the manufacturing operation in England because of his background in the mass production industries in the Chicago area and in the automobile plants in Detroit. Here he is.
Hello, Alex. It's nice to talk to you, and it's nice to know, too, that this message is reaching our friends there in the States. You probably told everyone about our progress over here. We're building sales every day with the new tools, and we can see nothing but more new business in the months and years ahead. Give my regards to Chicago and Detroit.
Yes, Bob Faverty and Jack Wynnum are so right. Following Thor design and producing identical tools in the factory in England proved the stimulant that more than doubled the company's sales in the sterling countries of the United Kingdom and in other countries around the world. New distributors joined the Thor Armstrong Whitworth affiliate, and to serve them and their customers, Thor's London sales headquarters expanded with the opening of sales and service branches in Glasgow, Sheffield, Birmingham, and to Thor's sales subsidiaries in Cologne, Germany, and Antwerp, Belgium. Listen now to the men from these other major Thor export outposts. First Germany and Gunther Dohler, manager.
Das Torgeschäft geht wirklich fein. In Zukunft soll's noch besser sein.
Next, Chuck Rowlett, Thor manager in Mexico.
No podíamos estar más satisfechos en nuestros negocios de Thor, ya que ellos se incrementan constantemente.
Now, W.J. Pittos, office manager in Belgium.
Nos affaires ont été très bonnes et s'améliorent chaque année.
And Eugene Larapure in Brazil.
Cada vez que Thor cria una nueva ferramenta, determina nuestro progreso comercial. Por eso, o futuro nunca pareceu tão brilhante.
What did they say? Well, each of these Thor sales managers or representatives in countries around the world said essentially what we can understand in the language spoken by either Ronnie Dungy, the Thor manager in Johannesburg, South Africa, or Bob Harrison, Thor's sales manager in the Philippines with headquarters at Manila. Here's Ronnie, whose message speaks for both of them.
Hello, Mr. Dreier. Glad to be aboard in your story of Thor. We, all of us in Thor export sales, are enjoying our best years ever. New tools keep coming to us, and they're helping us to associate with more and more new Thor distributors. The future looks bright indeed.
We have heard Thor customers, Thor salespeople, Thor export representatives. There are others, too, who play a major role in the story of Thor progress. They are the distributors who sell Thor electric tools, Thor mining and contractors tools, Thor speed tools. Some 5,000 distributors in nearly as many cities and towns and in every country in the world stock, promote, and sell Thor. As Thor has progressed with new tools for new markets, more and more distributors have naturally been attracted to Thor, have chose Thor as the power tool line to best serve their area. Let's listen to some of them to learn the distribution side of the Thor story. This is Tom Nelms, president of the Wessendorf Nelms Company, a Thor industrial distributor in Houston, Texas, since 1923.
We put Thor on the map here in the Houston area and throughout Texas. Like any distributor, we gave Thor the sales manpower that no manufacturer can afford to locate in one area for direct sales. Thor has helped us, too, by constantly developing new tools to keep pace with the requirements of our industries here. Thor has always been one of our leading lines, and always will be.
This is one of the country's largest and most prominent construction equipment distributors, Jack Powell, president of Western Machinery Company, which from headquarters in San Francisco serves the entire West with branches and subsidiaries throughout 5 western states.
Our own company has expanded and progressed because of suppliers like Thor. Our sales of these famous Thor red tools to contractors increase year after year. And the reason is that Thor keeps improving on a quality of product that has won acceptance. And we are able to exploit new Thor tools with each new construction season.
From the automotive service market side of Thor's distributor organization comes this message from William C. Schwartz, Vice President of Sales at Unit Parts Company, Buffalo, New York.
Thor's slogan in this market is service the cars with the tools that build them. Now, that's the simplest way I know to best describe the preference for Thor by car dealers, garages, and service stations, and body repair shops. We've sold the Thor line for years because Thor keeps progressing with the industry with new tools to service each year's new car styles and engines.
What about Thor's progress in the do-it-yourself market following the affiliation with its Speedway manufacturing division? Well, here's the answer from Charles B. McClaskey, Vice President and Merchandise Manager of Ace Hardware Corporation, one of the Midwest's largest hardware operations.
We sold Speedway electric tools in our stores for years prior to the company's affiliation with Thor. Today, we're selling more electric tools than ever before, probably 3 times our previous volume. There's no question about it. The combination of Thor and Speedway in this market is a natural.
In Houston, San Francisco, Buffalo, yes, in some 5,000 cities and towns, the Thor story is the same. Leading distributors everywhere sell Thor, are increasing their sales annually with Thor, are progressing with Thor. Other people have progressed too with Thor. They are the men and women in the Thor production and sales family around the world. I told you about and you heard from men like Bill Shakespeare and Bob Faverty and Doc Dussel. There are hundreds more at all levels of the company whose life work has been with Thor. I was most impressed at the company's main works in Aurora to learn that nearly 300 people there are members of the plant's 25-year service club. And 8 men actually achieved service records of 50 consecutive years. The average years of service among veteran toolmakers in one department is over 40 years. Let's hear what one of these veterans has to say about the company. This is Bernard Butch Comas, a precision grinder operator at Aurora, who in 1959 marked his 50th year of service with Thor.
That's right. I completed my 50th year with the company, the first day of June. I got my first job at Thor polishing the barrels on riveting hammers in 1909. And I'm still going strong. One of my daughters worked in the armature department here before she was married.
Neil C. Hurley, Jr., president of Thor for the past 15 years, is a 27-year veteran with the company. He prefers that his part in the Thor story be at this point, where he can join with people like Butch Comas. Here is what he told us.
When a company reviews its history and reports its progress, the most important factor in the story is the human side of the business. I personally value above all else the association it has been my privilege to enjoy with the men and women who have made this company, the veterans who have retired in past years and to whom we owe so much, the men on machines and at benches, the women who wind armatures and assemble electric tools and who perform office duties, and to our sales engineers in the field all over the world. It is this combination of people that has achieved success, and our future together will be everything we are planning it to be, and even more.
Elsie Sesniak is one of the assemblers at the new Speedway factory in LaGrange Park, Illinois. And she says,
I just can't believe that the company has got so much bigger in these last few years. We used to keep plenty busy in the old Speedway plant, but now we're setting records every month in the new factory.
Well, the story is the same in every Thor plant, in every Thor sales branch. Men and women in the big Thor family proudly recalling their years of service and busily looking to the future as Thor sales continue to mount. Actually, many of these Thor people have an even greater interest in Thor progress. They are part owners of the company. Yes, owners. They are Thor stockholders. And they point with equal pride to how they have shared in the company's growth because of its outstanding record of dividends paid to shareholders. Thor Power Tool Company has paid quarterly dividends consecutively since 1915. More than 175 consecutive dividends every year for over 44 years. Fantastic, isn't it? Just imagine the return an early stockholder in Thor has realized on the company's stock that he or she has held in that period. Listen to this one case as related by a Thor stockholder.
I bought 25 shares of Thor stock in 1917 for $967. 4 stock splits and a stock dividend have increased those original 25 shares to 630 shares today, and have increased the market value to nearly $19,000 from my original investment of $967. You know, I read every now and then in the financial papers and on the market page of the daily paper about the amazing growth of some one-person stock holdings in a company over a number of years, but I don't recall many instances more outstanding than my experience with Thor Power Tool Company stock. Because they increased from 25 to 630 shares, and the gain in value from $967 to somewhere around $19,000 is only part of the story. During the period since I bought the original 25 shares, Thor has paid a dividend in every quarter of every year. I have received dividends in those years amounting to $31,775. Now, Mr. Dreier, figuring just the return on dividends, my original investment in Thor of $967 has earned me more than 3,000%. My average annual earnings have been 79%. In the last 3 years, since the last stock dividend, the original 25 shares have earned $1,008 in dividends each year, which means that today my Thor stock is paying me more each year than what I paid for it originally. To top it all, I like to tell my banker friends this one. The dividends those 25 shares have earned and the present market value of the same holdings that have increased to 630 shares amount to slightly more than $50,000 compared to my investment of less than $1,000 in 1917. I could tell you more about other shares of Thor stock I purchased in the meantime, but this one example of the first 25 shares is sufficient evidence of why I'm proud to be a Thor stockholder, and why I share extreme pride with our company in its progress and its plans for the years ahead.
On this note, and what more positive example can there be to illustrate one company's stability, growth, and progress to a greater future, I bring to a close this colorful story. The people, the products, the markets that have brought Thor Power Tool Company from 1893 to the threshold of a future that looms even greater than the outstanding achievements of 65 progressive years. And now this is Alex Dreier, saluting Thor Power Tool Company and going on with Thor to new frontiers.